YouTube, there is no firearms in this video.
Welcome back to the Low Care Gunner YouTube channel. In this episode, we will be unboxing the Umarex AER16 together. This is a full auto / semi-auto electric BB air rifle. This has been sent to us by AirGunSource Canada for a review. We just got done reviewing the Umarex Strikeforce together. This is another full auto BB gun, but this one is CO2 powered, blowback and stuff. So it should be pretty nice to compare this one with it, see what's better, what's different, what I prefer better on the other one maybe, who knows. Enough rambling, let's unbox it together. Alright, so before we take it out of the box, we will take a quick look at it. So on here they say that it will shoot around 430 FPS with steel BBs. Like we said before, this one is battery powered, so you will not need to use CO2 each time that you want to shoot, and the battery and charger are included in the box. You get one 55 round drop free magazine with it, and since it shoots 450 rounds per minute, they do give you a speed loader to make that easier. This rifle uses some airsoft tech. It is not an airsoft, don't shoot steel BBs at anyone, but the smart LED MOSFET gearbox is an airsoft technology, I think. I'm not too familiar with that, to be honest. This side says about the same thing, so we will not talk too long about that. This only shows the model and stuff. So yeah, that's about it. I think we are about ready to unbox it. Okay, that's enough. Alright, so in there you get the thingy to put the batteries in when you charge them to make sure that they don't cause a fire if something happens. You also get the usual Umarex safety notice and registration thingy and not to return that to where you took it card. They also give you this nice safety rule card if you want to go over that to make sure that you are doing things right, and if you are showing younger ones, that can be good to make sure that you don't forget something. I don't know. Other than that, you get the actual airgun manual. Then you get the speed loader instructions and also the battery instructions to make sure that you use them right and don't cause a fire. Let's put that on the side for now, and we will go back over it later in the video. Now let's take it out of the plastic wrapping. I'm not sure I'm doing it the right way, but I will do it this way. We got one thing done. Now let's see under that. A bit of foam right there. Looks pretty good. Some silica gel to make sure that it does not rust. Another little thingy to keep it in there. Seems to be about it. In this corner we have the charger. Then we have the magazine, which is a bit light but does feel like metal. And we have also a speed loader for the magazine, and then we have the battery. On there it says 11.1 volt, 1200 mAh, 35C LiPo 3-panel battery. And to finish with, you get the actual thing, which I believe is heavier than the Strikeforce yet, or maybe not, but it does feel like something. I will get the box away and try to get rid of this foam in between the thingy right there, and we'll be right back. Alright, so let's take a quick look at it. It does feel very nice and fairly heavy. It might be a bit heavier from the back since all of the action is out here and the batteries will be down there, but it is really not too bad. The stock is adjustable. You do have a few notches. It is a bit larger than most of them because this is where you will put the batteries. The stock does feel pretty comfortable, but the flip-up sights are manual flip-up sights, unlike the Strikeforce where you press a button and they just pop up. On the other end, the peep sight does seem to be a bit more precise. The hole on the back right there is very small, and the front post is also pretty small, so this should be pretty nice. Let's try the cocking handle together. So it does seem pretty springy and stuff. I'm not sure of what it does, to be fair, other than popping the dust cover open. But yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with the chambering, to be fair. It might, but I don't think so. We will test that together. The springy. One thing that I do notice is that the safety / fire selector is only on one side / the other side. There is a bolt release button thingy right there, but I don't think it does anything because this does not lock open when you end shooting from what I've seen in videos, so that should not do much. I think that the only other button that does anything is this for the mag release. Let's try to insert that in there to see what it feels like. That cannot be it. That's weird. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that's supposed to get out of there, but hopefully. It seems like it is normal, but I'm kind of scared to break something now. But this should go in there in theory. Is that lined up right? Yeah. Seems to be in there now. Will it drop free? Yeah, it does drop free, and it does seem to be normal that this thingy does get out like that. Hopefully, because I don't want to break it. Basically, from what I understand, you could unload the magazine by pressing this. So that's kind of nice to store it and stuff like that. Unloading the magazine could also help you to undo jams and stuff like that later. So that's good to know. I just noticed that you can push on the forward assist button, but I don't think that does anything. I don't know. Let's see in the manual, I guess. This quality control sticker is really annoying me, but yeah, apparently they did do a quality control on it. On this side, you have the Umarex logo and model name. You also have a serial number and the caliber marked on the side to make sure that you don't mix that with your airsofts or whatever. We have a full-length Picatinny rail. We have some M-lock slots on the side and bottom, I believe. Yep. And also some quick detach sling mounts. I'm not sure if that's also some sling mounts, but it doesn't really look like it. They don't mention it on the picture that I've seen in the manual, so yeah. I just noticed that you get some sort of hooks right there, so you probably could use that for a sling, or maybe that right there. Who knows? The flip-up sights does seem to be pretty basic. They don't even pop up by themselves, but they seem to be pretty precise, like I said before, so that should work good enough. They do have some windage and elevation adjustments, both on the back. They do seem to be removable, so I will also test it with a red dot later just to see if that makes a difference. But I always test the sights just to know what you get out of the box. The muzzle brake looking thingy does not seem to be removable on this one, unlike the Strikeforce that had a 14mm counterclockwise muzzle, but that's not a big deal. From what I understood from watching videos online before unboxing this thing, to put the batteries in, you will push on those two clips, pop that out, then you will need to remove something else, which is in there, that thing, and then you will have access to the connectors. You want the stock to be retracted, aka the shortest possible, so you can grab the connectors down there. Once you got it out, you will simply plug that in there, then tuck the wires back in and put your batteries on the side right there, and then try to put that back without pinching the cables. Basically, I will not do that right now because I don't know how charged those batteries are and stuff like that. I guess I will talk about that in my first video. It seems pretty hard to do this part wrong, but make sure that if you do feel resistance, don't keep going because you will pinch the cables. This tab goes on the top right there, so pretty easy to put back in. I cannot find much more to ramble about, so let's put the magazine back in and try to weight it. By the way, those magazines are a bit finicky to really get to clip in sometimes, so make sure that they really are in there. So without the batteries in, we get around 5.34 pounds, so pretty heavy for a BB gun, so that's a good thing to me. It feels like the real deal. Now let's quickly go over the manuals together to make sure that I did not forget anything. This is the speed loader instructions. Basically, they tell you to press on that button. The thingy right there will pop up, so you will be ready to push down. Then you can open the little door right there for BBs in, close that back, and you're ready to put the BBs into the magazine. So I guess that we will try that. So there is a button right there. Does not do anything. Oh, there's 2 buttons. Is that it? Not sure. Oh, so you can lock it back with this button on this side and then pop it out with the other side basically. So you push it down, press back, it is locked. So you press that, you open the door right there. I'm not sure of how you do that. Simply pull on it, I guess. Then you are ready to pour BBs in. It should be pretty easy if you got a jug like that. Those are Umarex BBs. Might as well shove them all in there because the Strikeforce did get the best of this BB jug. We can now close this cover back and we should be pretty much ready to go. Let's try it out together, I guess. So to fill up the magazine, you will put that back in, I guess. That's kind of annoying. I'm not sure I've heard of that before, but I've never had an airgun of this kind before either. So you will push that down there and pretty hard, I guess, hard enough for you to be at the bottom of it, and then you start doing that. And once it does pop out and there's a few loose on the top, I guess that it is full. That should be 55 BBs, by the way. So now, if I don't want to shoot anymore and my magazine still have BBs, I can unload it by pulling on that, but I'm kind of scared to do that. But we will try it anyways. So you don't want to point that at anyone or your eyes, obviously. You might want to wear safety glasses. I'm not doing that because I'm dumb, but yeah, I'm not sure of how hard those will come out of there. They do come out pretty fast, so make sure that you don't do that where you don't want to do that. Okay? By the way, I did pick up the 4 BBs that fell on the ground. I don't know if there is more, most likely, but I will not be using those because those can have dust and dents and stuff like that and can cause issues in the gearbox later, so I will go throw them away. Alright, so I guess that the loading and unloading part does work pretty well. The speed loader is a pretty nice touch to that. You do have some BB count thingy on the side, so it seems like I have a little bit over 60 BBs but less than 90, so somewhere in the middle of that. I will put those back in there because they are clean. Now it does say that I have around 130, so basically it says 30, 60, 90, 130, 160, so you have around 160 shots that you can put in there and quickly load into your magazine, so you can do at least 2 magazines without putting BBs back in it. This is the lithium battery instruction manual. Basically in there they mostly seem to say that you want to use the right kind of charger with a balancer in there. I don't really know much about lithium batteries, to be honest. You also don't want to drain them under 3 volt per cell, so a 3 cell should be around 9 volt, so you don't want to go under that. I almost said 9 volt, okay, parce que AirGun Québec, si ça t'intéresse. You do want to use the little bag that they give you to charge and store the batteries to make sure that you do not start a fire while you do that. So this should limit the fire propagation, and you want to do that maybe on a concrete floor or something. Stay away from wood or something that can catch on fire. Other than that, they mainly talk about temperature for charging and use. So if it is super hot, you might not want to use this kind of batteries outside because they can explode. The same happens with phones. It happened to me way too often because I'm filming in the sun for you guys. So leave a like, get the membership, do something, okay? Because I'm doing that right now for you. Another interesting fact, at least for people like me that don't know about those batteries, basically you cannot charge them faster than they can drain. So if it is a 1500, you cannot charge them faster than 1500 mAh, something like that. Also, since this battery has 3 cells, when it is fully charged, it should be around 12.66 volt. You do not want to get under 9 volt because that will mean that the cells are getting under 3 volts each, and that's bad for them. By the way, they do recommend that you keep a bucket of sand or a proper fire extinguisher nearby in case that you do get a battery fire and stuff like that. So be safe about that and don't use it in hot weather. Don't put them in water because lithium batteries hate water. They say that you want to properly dispose of the batteries once they lost around 20% of their labeled capacity or reach 2 years of life or so. So a battery should do about 2 years. I will not read all of this manual on camera, but I did, and make sure that you do. To finish with, we have the actual rifle manual. Again, I will not read all of it, but I will try to go over the important features. You can find this manual online if that is interesting to you. I will try to link it in the description, but I always forget to do that. So it starts with the same info that we can read on the box. Then you have some sort of index and a few safety warnings. They do tell you to wear safety glasses, which is important with BBs. On the next page, they go back over some safety rules. They also tell you stuff like don't shoot hard objects, don't reuse the BBs, that can cause issues and stuff like that. So that can be worth reading. You also have a quick overview of the rifle. We did talk about most of that before, so I will not name all of the things, but they do mention that there is 2 types of connectors. The white one is a balance connector. I believe this is to charge it. Yep, white to white. And the red one is a Dean's connector to plug into the rifle. Then they talk about the safety, which is pretty straightforward. This is semi, this is auto, and this is safe. They also mention the stock adjustments. It seems to have a few notches. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, something like that. Then they talk about charging, which is pretty straightforward. You want to put it in the bag, get the connector on the side right there, put that on concrete, get your sand ready if something happens, and then you can plug that into your USB thingy. The thingy will flash, I believe, and will stop flashing when it is ready. Let me read that. The LED will stop flashing when the battery is fully charged. Okay, so there is a LED on there that will flash and it will stop flashing when the battery is ready. Don't let it on the charger for too long. That can be bad. They did say that on the little warning on top, but they also say to use only this kind of battery sold by Umarex. I'm not sure if that's a brand thingy and they want you to use their batteries, or if you cannot use something with more juice but not more power. That most likely will not cause any issues, but I did not say it. On the next page, they talk about how to clear a jam. Basically, if it starts sounding weird or you know that you have a problem, stop shooting, remove the magazine. You can then insert your rod into the barrel to clear the BBs this way. And once you did that, you can empty your magazine to make sure that you don't add some BBs in there if you're still having issues. And you can fire until it sounds like it is working right. Then you put the BBs back in and you can start shooting again. If that does not work, you might have to contact Umarex for a repair and stuff. So yeah, this airgun is covered by a 1-year limited warranty for USA and Canadian customers. So you don't want to take it apart if you do have issues, because that could void your warranty and that's not fun. In the manual, they also show you how to use the peep sight and how to adjust them. Let's try the adjustments together. It does seem to have a lot of travels in between clicks, but the click is really nice. The elevation adjustment is pretty interesting, I would say. Basically, you turn that and the little post is going up and down. You do have some little numbers down there to tell you about where you are at, so you can have a reference. So that's at least that. I don't understand the numbers though, because there's 3, 5, 6. Oh, the 2 is down there. That's a bit weird, but you have some sort of reference. I got it back how it was out of the box. Basically the 5 was in this corner, so I got it back like that. So we will see what it was looking like when I got it. There is one warning that I'm not a huge fan about. Do not pull the trigger too fast in succession. It may cause a gear jam. So it is semi-auto, but how fast can you semi-auto? You don't tell me. They also say do not switch the fire selector while pulling the trigger. This causes severe damage to your airgun. So if you do that by mistake, you can break your airgun. Is it easy to do by mistake? Kinda not. They do tell you in the manual that you need to pull the charging handle back before using it, but I'm not sure that this does anything, to be fair. I really don't think it is feeding. At least it was not on the Umarex Strikeforce, but it is a different mechanism. This one is a gearbox. The other one was a blowback CO2 rifle, so I don't know. Now I'm wondering if I can load the magazines manually and if I can jam it with the cocking handle, so we'll try that. So loading it by hand was not a success. Let's put a few BBs in there and see if I can cause a jam with the cocking handle. I'm not too sure of how that works, to be fair. So if I pull the charging handle and do that and remove the magazine, where's the button? I'm not sure if the charging handle did anything or if only putting the magazine in there will already feed one, but there is definitively one on the ground and one inside of there. From what I understand, judging by how many BBs did fall on the ground, the charging handle is not doing anything for the feeding and maybe not even for the trigger, because it does not do anything when you don't have the batteries in there. So yeah, this is the tab that I did unload the magazine with, and it does get pushed in by something which releases some BBs. So it just starts feeding them right inside of there, and this is why there was many that fell on the ground. Even though I did rack it only once, it's because it's starting to feed right away. So yeah, nice dust cover. Pretty nice bolt handle, but I don't think it does anything. Now we are getting to the funny part, at least to me. They tell you to maintain it. To do so, you want to apply 1 to 2 drops of RWS spring cylinder oil, aka 100% silicone oil, onto all moving parts such as the BB follower, gas capsule piercing knobs, and the trigger hinge every 1,000 shots. But this does not have CO2 cartridges, so it does not have piercing knobs. So where do I lube it, Umarex? One thing that Umarex could get better at is to show you how to take care of your air guns. Not many manufacturers do it, but it is pretty important to know how if you do want them to last and if you don't want to have some unhappy customers. To finish with, they talk about the LED MOFSET gearbox. I'm not too familiar with that. I never had a fancy airsoft or anything like that. Basically, they tell you that you have an LED light in front of the trigger right there that will help you diagnose if you have issues or if it is working right. You also have some beeps to tell you if there is an issue, I believe. When you plug it in, it should do a red flash and a beep to tell you that it is connected and that the gearbox is ready. If it did flash and made the beep, you are now shooting. It should not be lit up or make any noise. It will not make any noise when you're switching from semi to full auto, for example. If it is not working right and there is no sound or light, you want to check the battery connection. If it starts flashing repeatedly and it does one beep, you might have to check the gearbox connection. I have no clue how to do that because they don't tell you in the manual. If it is flashing red repeatedly but it did not make any sound, it might be jammed or the current is over 30 amps. So, you know, they do mention to stop pulling the trigger or it might damage it and you might want to change the battery. So I guess this might tell you that the battery is low. I think that they mean that you might have jammed it with the low battery, so stop pulling the trigger because you will jam it even more because the low battery seems to be 2 beeps. I will try to put that in the corner to make sure that you understand right, because that was some pretty messy explanations, but that will be about it for the manuals. This will be enough for today. I will get those batteries charging so we can get ready for the next video. By the way, they do mention not to overcharge those batteries before storage. For example, they want you to keep them over 3 volt per cells. This one is a 3 cells, so you want to be over 9 volt or it can damage them. But you also don't want them to be super full because those are 11.1 volt batteries, but fully charged they will go up to 12.6 volts. So you know that will cause some discharge over time if you are storing them like that, and that's not really good. So charge them only if you are going to use them or if they are very low. I'm not really a professional for LiPo batteries, and if you are, please leave a comment about that, but I'm trying to make yours last as long as possible. I'm trying to do things right for mine, so I will give you tips. A huge thank you to AirGunSource Canada for this review opportunity. A huge thank you to you for watching until the end and leaving a thumbs up and subscribing and stuff like that to make sure that I make more videos. And that will be about it for today, okay? As I'm going over my table and stuff to smack you in the face and tell you that this was 2 hours and 20 of footage. This is not edited. This is a lot of work. So I will see y'all in the next one. Let's do some ASMR. This is some